And so we take that moment for the quietness, as today's daily word says, for the stillness. Time to hear that still, small voice within. Time to lean into guidance, strength, love, surrender, allowing, expansion, gratitude, joy. Time to just lean into where we find those things in our bodies. Time to breathe, knowing that each and every breath is the breath of God itself, life itself, source and substance. Knowing that as we take in that oxygen, with every breath we are renewed, revitalized, energized. Feeling that source energy coursing through our veins in our blood, gently moving through our body into our lungs as the air that we breathe. Feeling our muscles animated and moving with that same source. Knowing that each and everything is a part of that oneness. Allowing that even those things that in our world of senses we would prefer not be happening are also a part of that oneness. Knowing that if we simply believe that each thing happens for a purpose, with a purpose, that our life shows up as purposeful. Knowing that what we are believing is the creative force for the life we are living. Choosing to believe in the unlimited possibility is a powerful enabling choice. Allowing that source energy to step up easily and without anything in its way to inform our lives and our activities. Saying yes to whatever it is that is in front of us. Yes, I am here, I am present, and God is present with me. Call it source, call it creator, call it the allness. Whatever it is that resonates with you, that is what we are in. That is what we are a part of, and that is what we are using to manifest the life we are living. Taking a moment to steep in that reality. Taking a moment to allow that to expand our opportunities, our awareness. We allow that moment to move into quiet reflection in the silence. And in that hum of spirit, in the activity of life dancing, we allow ourselves to know that we have all we need to create the life of our dreams. If we choose to believe that, if we choose to empower that, if we choose to use that as what we create with, everything changes. Stepping into that belief with gratitude, with purpose, and with joy, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. So, it's the day before St. Patty's Day. I see some of us wore our green. And it gives me a wonderful opportunity to... Oh, and we got to shade. Yeah, there we go. That's it. There we go. I was just going to say, what did I call today's talk? Yes, thank you. So, this month is all about trusting divine timing. Every month, I don't know if you guys know this, so I come up with a yearly theme, and then within that yearly theme, each month has a theme that supports that yearly theme, and then talk titles and teasers and things come from that. So this month is trusting divine timing. And there's never any accidents, right? I mean, like the way that things line up, we were saying when Sally said that she was getting ready to leave, we thought that, hey, this could take a while. And when things are supposed to happen, things tend to move pretty quickly. At least that's my belief. And things fell into place very quickly, far quicker than we anticipated that they were. And if you're ever in that liminal space, it can put you into the space of, oh my goodness gracious, what are we going to do? You know, we can go into fear. We can go into that lack consciousness. Who's going to be here? What's going to happen? How are we going to do this? Or you have the choice to say, you know what? I'm just cooperating with whatever the divine flow for my life, for our lives, for our collective lives, and for our unity of Sebring is. So if I choose to cooperate, things seem to fall into place. And coincidentally, Michael Gott was here last Sunday. I don't know how many of you guys were here for that, but was he fabulous or what? I mean, so the stage is still vibrating from last Sunday. And then we knew that, okay, so Sally's going to be here this Sunday, and it's her last Sunday. And, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Coincidentally, a month ago, or whenever that was, Harry Havery will be here next Sunday as a guest soloist. So we have this beautiful, graceful movement of music in these 3 weeks to really think about what this platform is going to become musically. Because there's no one waiting in the wings. We don't have a surprise music director that's going to pop out here next Sunday. We have a plan, Tina and I, that we are hoping is going to happen. We have someone who we think is cooperating with that plan for at least to hold us for a time to direct our choir, but we don't have another music director coming in right now. We're leaving an opening. And we're believing that that opening is giving space for something amazing to happen. Now, this St. Patty's Day, coincidentally in the middle of it, which is wonderful, because it gives us an opportunity to really dive into what do we believe? What are we believing? And are some of the things that we're believing not serving our best and highest? Or are some of the things that we're believing made up nonsense? Yes, Some of the things we are believing are made up nonsense, otherwise known as BS, otherwise known as our belief systems. And so what we are believing comes from so many different places. And the catch becomes so many of the things we believe we don't even have on our radar as things we're believing. There are these unconscious backseat drivers that are taking the wheel in our life and driving. I saw a graphic this week that I thought was hilarious that had a picture of Jesus with his head kind of sticking out a car window, looking really bewildered, saying, "Please stop asking me to take the wheel. There were no cars 2,000 years ago. I have no idea how to drive." It is that Christ consciousness within that we are tapping into, that source guidance, that Godness that we are living and moving and having our being within, that we're invited to tap into. But so these beliefs that we have, they're formed from so many things. They're formed from your second grade teacher that didn't like the way you showed up one day and said you're too loud. And it was an off-the-cuff comment. And you, for some reason, integrated it into your belief system. I'm too loud. It's a parent frustrated and at their wits' end because they're tired, and you just asked why one too many times, and then they said, "My goodness gracious, you asked too many questions." And it took root somewhere inside as I get in the way and I infringe on other people's space too much. It's beliefs that came from grandparents. It's wonderful beliefs. It's awful beliefs. It's this whole conglomerate of stuff that we hold inside of us. And we have the creative power of Source inside of us. We are part of God, and we are creating with every thought. We are creating with every action. We are creating our life. And some of these thoughts that we're holding on to are just simply BS. Some of them are fun little myths, like St. Paddy's Day, St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. He was British. He actually spent time enslaved in Ireland, so it's fascinating that he is the patron saint of Ireland. And we wear green. Why? We don't know. Because somewhere along the way, after the celebration of St. Patrick's Day came to the U.S., somebody started wearing green. And think about that. That person must have had some energy attached to the fact that they put on green and maybe put a little green dye in their beer. I don't know how that started the first time. So that energy took root. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And by the way, leprechauns. Leprechauns were a slang, nasty thing to call some Irish people. Kind of like Christian was a nasty thing, a slang slant against people who followed Jesus. What do we do with these BS things that are out there floating around? Sometimes we hold on to them and we create awesome, wonderful things. Sometimes we hold on to them and we create a life of bondage for ourselves. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have been told I am too loud, I am too much, I am just a little too energetic. And, you know, you guys know, because you've seen me sing, occasionally I will cry when I sing. Occasionally I will cry when I talk. And I have been told, and I did not sing in public for years, because I sang for a minister and, bless you, and cried during a song. And that minister said to me, well, that was unprofessional, but you'll work on it. And what I heard was, oh, I did it wrong. I did it wrong. I did something bad and I shouldn't do that. And so I stopped singing in public for about 3 years at one point. Because I took that in. What are we taking in? What are we believing? Let me look into more of the St. Patty's Day myths that we believe. Oh yes, how St. Patty drove the snakes out of Ireland. Do you know there are no snakes in Ireland? Do you know what that really was? It was a symbol, much like much of the Bible, is written in symbol and allegory and story so that we might grab onto concepts that we might not otherwise grab onto. But the snakes being driven out of Ireland was the pagans. He was driving pagans out of Ireland. And that is, or bringing a new belief system. Shamrock. And the shamrock is a legend about him using it to teach the Trinity. There's no proof of that. But they say that that's why the shamrock came. The reason that we celebrate St. Patty's Day on March 17th is because that was the day that he died in 461 AD. And the celebration, now we talked about this already, Lent. By the way, if you don't have your Lent booklet and you would like, we still have some up here. Tina brought the remaining ones out. So it was a pause in Lent. We know that they say Lent is 40 days and 40 nights. It's not, it's 46. Because it's 6 weeks long and you get Sundays off for good behavior. But again, a belief, a piece of BS that we hold on to and we repeat. We just repeat BS without knowing if it's true or not sometimes. And so this was a pause in Lent so that people could feast and drink. Now, the mass migration during the potato famine brought the Irish to America, and they started celebrating their patron saint here, so we started celebrating. But we have no reason to celebrate St. Patty's Day for ourselves, other than people like to drink and eat corned beef and cabbage. So some of these things we hold on to. And speaking of that, boiled bacon and potatoes were traditional. But when it came to the U.S., corned beef was more available. And they used the cabbage to tenderize it. Why do we do what we do? Do we even wonder why we do what we do sometimes? See, this unity walk and this spiritual walk in life is all about uncovering unconscious beliefs that are creating things in our life that we don't want. They say all the time, there are no perfect men, only perfect intentions. We have the best of intentions. And sometimes our BS gets in the way of how those intentions are realized. We don't realize a belief system that we're operating from that stands in our way of succeeding. So the parade started in America. I said no such thing as a shamrock. A shamrock is actually a clover. So that's all I have about how St. Patty's Day started and why it happened. So, but yeah, he was taken, I didn't say though, he was taken prisoner and made a slave for 6 years. And he had a vision to escape. He had a belief that he could. And he did. And that's how he ended up being the patron saint of Ireland, because he escaped bondage and went back home and then came back successful. Where do we do this in our lives? What are we believing in our lives? Now, just to let you know that you're putting me through ministerial school is actually doing something for us, I'm going to pull a little Bible on you this morning because I just completed, thank you, God. I don't have any attachment around that, do I? Just completed a Bible interpretation course. And it was wonderful, it was lovely, it was deep, and it was a lot of academic work. And so I've been writing papers and doing all of that while I'm doing this work. But what we talked about this past week was there was a woman in Jesus' time who was hemorrhaging for 12 years. Now, pardon me for a second, anyone who's a little squeamish about talking about personal details, but in Jesus' time, when it was a woman's cycle time, she was considered unclean. She was not allowed to go out in public. She was supposed to stay inside of her house. No one was even supposed to physically touch her. You should not touch a woman during that time, was the belief at that time. So this woman had an issue and was bleeding for 12 years, they say, in this story. Now, sometimes we read these Bible stories and we just want to catch the symbols and go from there. But if you dive in for a minute to the symbolism of this story, for 12 years, this woman would have been an outcast. Not able to be touched by her husband, not able to be embraced by her family, not able to go out and socialize. She would have been an outcast in that time, absolutely considered unclean and untouchable. But she had a belief. She believed that if she could just simply touch the hem of Jesus' garment, if she could just touch the very edge of his cloak, that she would be healed. Now, she didn't just believe it. She believed it with every cell in her body and every fiber of her being. She knew at depth that if she could just make it through the crowd to Jesus and just get one finger on the hem of his garment, that this would be over for her and she would be healed. And her belief was so strong, and she crawled, they say, on her hands and knees through the crowds. Jesus was at a place and he was speaking, and there were massive amounts of people around him. And he was in the middle of this crowd with his disciples. And she crawled through the crowd as she was untouchable and unclean, got to behind Jesus and touched his hem, and she was healed. And they say in this Bible story that Jesus felt it. And he said, whoa, wait a second. Who just took some of my energy? This is what it says in the Bible. If you read it, I'll tell you the verse and everything as we go, but let's do the story first. So he turned to his disciples and said, who did that? Who touched me? And his disciples said, you are in a crowd full of people. You expect to know who just touched you? Like there's people squishing all around you. A whole bunch of people are touching you. And he said, no. I want to know who just touched me. And as he did, he turned and he saw her, and she rose up, and he called her daughter. Now, this is massively impactful in the Bible. Jesus never called anyone except for this woman daughter. And he said, daughter, your belief has healed you. Just in case she thought for a second it was him. He wanted to clarify, look, I got it. You touched my garment. I felt the energy go. And it wasn't me that healed you. It was you. Because of the belief that you held long enough and strong enough and knew in every fiber of your being, you just healed yourself. That is a depth of belief that we are wading into and using in our lives. Think about what you believe consciously. We are using that power of belief. Do you believe that the world is a kind and loving place, or do you believe that life sucks and then you die? Because I've got news for you. Whichever one of those you believe, you are right. Because you are creating your existence by the beliefs that you are holding. Now, the catch can be that a lot of our beliefs are unconscious. So we are holding things that we're not realizing are driving the car. It's all about uncovering those unconscious beliefs. My granddaughter, yesterday, I had the great blessing to go spend yesterday with my family. Drove over to West Palm Beach, hung out with my kids and my grandkids. And my granddaughter is a junior in high school, and she's in color guard. And if you don't know what color guard, it's the flags, and they toss the sabers and the rifles and the flags and basically throw and catch things really beautifully and dance. So she's been in color guard for a while, and yesterday, or this show that they are doing, based on Kermit the Frog's It's Not Easy Being Green. This show that they're doing, she got her very first solo toss. And she has been beside herself with excitement about her solo toss. Now they do things together. It's a big group of them, and it's beautiful. And they're dancing and they're tossing, and there's parts with flags, and then there's different flags, and then there's sabers, and they're moving and dancing and going. And then here comes my granddaughter, and she's been waiting, and her and I have been talking about it, and she's been gathering all this energy around the fact that, oh my goodness, Mom's going to see this performance. When do we do that? We gather up so much energy and anticipation, whether it's nervous or dreading or excited, and we gather up these preconceived notions about what's happening. And when she got to the center of the gathering and she threw her rifle, and I will tell you, it would have hit this ceiling. That's how high it went. And she threw her rifle and she looked up, and for just a second, she looked at me and she dropped it. And all of us, family, sitting in the stands, tried very hard not to go, but our whole insides did that. This is my love, my granddaughter, and I was so proud of her. And she couldn't wait to show Mom this moment of throwing this throw and catching this rifle. And she got herself so involved and keyed up about this moment and making sure that she caught the rifle, that it threw her. See, I used to do that with singing. I used to, before I would sing in church, if it was an especially emotional song, before service, I would be walking around in myself going, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. What your body hears is cry, 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 cry. In case you don't know that, see, our energy flows with our words and thoughts and beliefs, and our body doesn't hear the negation. That's why we use affirmations and denials, so that we are phrasing a denial in a positive way, such as, if I want to say, my belief in God is so powerful that I can accomplish anything. The denial is not I can't be gotten. The denial is nothing in this earth has ultimate power over me. My belief is in God, which is beyond this experience. So we're not denying as in saying, don't cry. Don't think, you ever say, don't look down? Boy, the second somebody says, don't look down, what do you do? We can't help it. Because we hear the instruction, we don't hear the negation, right? So it's all about affirming what we believe. So I'm going to ask you here's the thing. We need to know what we feel inside when something comes up to learn what we're believing. So I'm going to do just a couple real quick things because I'm talking way too long this morning already. Now, just for a second, just be in a feeling space. Don't monitor your thoughts. Don't try to stop anything from coming. Know this is a safe space, and allow yourself to feel around and in between what feelings come up for you. Rubik's Cube. Now this may sound silly, but if you had someone hand you a Rubik's Cube, what do you feel? See, because life is a felt sense experience. It's not about what you try to say or what you think you want others to hear. It's energy at its finest and at its core. What do you feel? If someone hands me a Rubik's Cube, I get anxious. I think, oh, Lord, there's no way in heaven I'm going to be able to do this. I don't care if you gave me 5 days. I'm not going to be able to do this. That's my belief. That's my deep-seated belief. You know how long I've had this Rubik's Cube in my bathroom? So what if life handed you a smaller Rubik's Cube with less squares? Does it feel easier now? See, our thoughts are formative. They have power. They create things. They create anxiety, they create love, they create flow, they create outages, they create stoppages. Our thoughts are the creators of what's happening here. Now, know that. Don't be afraid of every thought that goes through your head. Boy, some of the things I think in the course of a day. It's the thoughts that we empower that have power. So a fleeting thought going through your head doesn't catch and make seeds and grow things. It's the thoughts that we give power to, that we energize, that are the ones that create things. What about time? What do you feel about time? What do you think about time? What does it bring up for you? Because what you think and feel about time's passage is going to inform the way that you show up in a day. Are you rushed? Is it too much? Is it just enough? What do you think about love? What do you feel about love? Are you allowed it? Are you open to it? I'm going through a place in my life right now where my belief about who and what I am is being challenged, and I'm being stretched, and I'm being asked to move into new places and look at where I am feeling resistance in ways that some days I ain't prepared to do. I'll just cop to it. And love is one of those things. I had the love of my life. He died just over 3 years ago. I haven't been on a date yet. Why? Because he's not here to date me. And so my beliefs about what I am as a widow, what I am as a single person, what I am as a minister and a widow and a single person have all been scrambled and pushed and shaken up and moved around as to what I am allowed to do, what I will allow myself to do. You're invited on the same journey. What are you going to allow yourself to feel and do and believe about love? What do you feel? Do you know what you feel? Is there an opening there? Is there a judgment? Is there fear? What do you feel when you see the things you see and hear the things you hear and are confronted with things that might be outside your comfort zone? If we can learn to make friends with feelings that are hard for us, they can change our lives. What about the Bible? What do you feel about the Bible? I can tell you that even in my class of minister candidates, we had people who said, "Ugh, I do not have a good relationship with the Bible." This informs us. All of it informs us. What do we feel about "and"? What do we feel about when Trish gets up here and says "and"? Is it, oh my gosh, if she says it one more time, I'm going to explode? Or is it, okay, I can step into that "and" mentality? What do we feel about putting a check in the collection plate? How much do we write it for? What do we feel about giving in a church community? Because if you give with a closed fist, you give us something that goes nowhere. If you can't give with an open hand, don't give. Right? Because it changes the energy. So this week, look at your beliefs Everything that you are faced with this week, what is coming up for you? What is driving? What is informing you? If you see a stopped car, if you see a homeless person, if you see someone who's having a hard time, if you are confronted with someone yelling at you, what do you believe about what's happening? Because that will inform your life. I'm going to leave you with this, if I can find it. I moved all my notes. Alex Haley said, when you clench your fist, no one can put anything in your hand, nor can your hand pick up anything. Carl Sagan said, it pays to keep an open mind, but not so open your brains fall out. Maya Angelou said, hope and fear cannot occupy the same space. Invite one to stay. And Charles Fillmore said, the spiritual substance, he's co-founder of Unity, the spiritual substance from which comes all visible wealth is never depleted. It is right with you all the time and responds to your faith in it and your demands on it. It is not affected by our ignorant talk of hard times, though we are affected because our thoughts and words govern our demonstration. The unfailing source is always ready to give. And if you believe that, you will always have something to give and receive. Let's step into this alchemy, this way of being in the world that allows us to make larger differences, show up bravely, show up openly, not use stereotypes and things that we have believed in the past from hurts to inform the way we show up in our world today. Let's open to be unity. I'm so grateful to be here with you to do that. And I look forward to where we go. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Please visit www.unityofsebring.org for more information, to submit a prayer request, or to donate to our ministry. We hope to see you again very soon.